Yeah. Now we should be live with actual audio too, if possible.
What about video? You just look like a OBS logo to me right now.
Do I? That's fun. Why is that, I wonder? Cause like we're live normally, so I don't know.
I don't think we've ever been live normally.
I mean, we're live like I don't remember how I was showing you the thing now. Fascinating. What did I do? What did I do?
Worked your magic.
I may have. It's that.
Hey,
there. That should be better.
That looks vaguely like you. I hope
Yeah.
the stream doesn't look like that.
It does. It looks exactly like
you look
that.
pixelated, like you're probably nude, like your face is nude.
Yeah, you can't do anything about that. Neither can I.
Wait, I think you're looking good. Coming into view.
Coming into view? Oh God.
That's doable.
I got
a beard? It's been there.
Yeah, all right. Hold on. Maybe this will help. Good?
Well, welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody, which I think this is going to be episode 166, but Book Club for Movies Live, everybody. Matt Amberg has a Hawkeye, what would you call that? PNG?
It's my mask, dude. It's the PNG.
Sure, yeah.
You're a PNG.
Some people call PNGs pings. I don't think that's appropriate.
Do they? Who are those people?
Also not appropriate. This show.
There we go.
Live, everybody. So the way that spiel goes is, oh, thank you. You can put it on me too. Hawkeye. He's trying to put it on my face. But I'm a moving target.
Oh.
Everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you are tuning in, if you're not, that means you might be listening to this in podcast form, which, if you're a fan of the family-friendly affairs, that's where that version will go.
Because this one's not
friendly. Here, but that cranberry juice. What do you got there? No, that's got to be
apple juice.
Cider. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, the color's a little. It also looked nude.
Thank gosh. Thank gosh. Oh, hey. So
yes.
So we're here doing this show about Hawkeye, right? That's the gig?
Yes, you're Matt Amberg. I'm Ryan Miller. This is about Hawkeye.
That's about Hawkeye. Okay, so check this out. Look at our little Hawkeye. Look at him dancing. He's our little Hawkeye.
Is he moonwalking?
Yeah, dude. Woo! Get it?
Oh, he just got bigger.
Yeah, dude. We're going to make him bigger.
All
right, there we go.
Why you're doing this. This is
magic. It's the Hawk.
Pure magic.
It's the Hawk. Clint Burton gonna get it on down.
Podcast people, you're missing out. This is what it's all about right here.
This is what it's all about.
GIF, a moonwalking Hawkeye GIF.
Yeah, it's my
GIF. If you're wrong,
if you are stupid and an idiot, and you're wrong.
You know what's funny about that? For the longest time,
the GIF?
Anytime my wife said GIF, I would correct her and say GIF just to be a jerk because I didn't care. And eventually it worked, and she only says GIF now. So I start correcting her the other way, but she won't do it. And now I'm annoyed because she says GIF instead of GIF. It's my own making. It's stupid.
Yeah. See, at home, I refer to them as GIFs, and in person, I refer to them as GIFs typically. That way, everybody is satisfied. I don't like to. I like to play both sides, so I always come out on top.
Covering all your bases. I like it. You know what bases we didn't cover?
Which ones?
The Patreon posts that we usually do that lets people know we're live. I mean, we've let people know.
Don't worry. I literally just hit a button on my Stream Deck and a tweet goes out.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Go check your Twitter right now. I have not tweeted anything. It should be.
Stream decks are kind of fun. I've often come close.
Yeah, it's novel. It's got they even like the updates on this. This is like the first generation one that they put out. Even the updates that they're putting out for this still are like extending the life.
Or do they have a Stream Deck version 2 going around now?
Probably. I don't actually know. I'm just saying I've had this now for 4 years or 3 years, however long the thing. I think kind of same thing. I guess it'd been 3 years now. And same thing with the Go XLR, which I love. I actually like it. I think it's really cool.
I can hear the beeps this time. Usually you got that the beeps going and I can't hear it until I edit the show later and I'm like, oh, he beeped himself right there. That was funny. And I look like I'm completely ignoring. How'd you figure that out?
Oh yeah, so it's just a Stream Deck. I realized, or the Go XLR. I realize it actually does, the functions all work as expected. I just can't hear them, so I have to preemptively set them to know what it's gonna sound like. So like,
wait, so now I can hear the beeping and you can't?
So yeah, no, you'll hear it. Like I can't. I've never been able to hear it, but right now I probably sound like I'm on a megaphone or I'm doing something from somewhere else.
Megaphone.
Yeah,
you sound like you're in precinct.
And I also figured out how to set up samples to play automatically.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Excuse me 1 second. I'm just getting a third voice in the room to let us know how we sound, and I promise we'll get started here. I just want to send her a text.
So send her a text. I should yell at my wife. Like. She doesn't. We'll say, you're fine.
Okay, that's out. We'll hear back from her shortly. Matt,
hello, dear.
Here, you talking to me, or did you actually connect with your wife?
No. I was talking to you.
Okay, good. You watched this Hawkeye show, I think, when it came out, right? Like, during the holidays, in fact.
In fact, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I am.
A little longer, but
you did. You did. That's okay. It's fine.
But I got there, and I got there quickly. I want to say once we started, I could not stop. So let that be an early indication. But Matt.
Yes.
What do you want to start with this?
I guess so. For me, I think that overall this is a show that's very much so a transitional show, like all the other MCU shows. I think we're introducing new characters, we're pushing the MCU forward, and in this one, this is definitely the bringing in particular Kate Bishop. Not necessarily to replace Clint, but this is definitely advancing where Clint is, I think, mentally, after Natasha's suicidal tendencies, and then of course, the snap and then all of that. So I think that I kind of am interested in how you felt just in general about how they handled kind of Clint's aftermath. I don't think that this got super deep into PTSD, which I think would have actually been a little more interesting, to be honest with you, like in terms of that's a real battle loss, right? Like his best friend, she had to die, all of this stuff, and then the snap and this and that. But what did you think overall of what they're doing with Clint here?
So I would actually say that this probably is headed in the direction of replacing Clint eventually. I don't think we've heard as much from Jeremy Renner as we've heard from like Chris Evans and freaking
Scarlett Johansson.
No, Thor. Well, Scarlett Johansson is out.
Well, Hemsworth is back.
I guess they're all Hemsworth.
But Hemsworth.
I don't think we've heard as much from that as we have from them two that are like, I don't want to work out anymore.
No, so Hemsworth backed that up a little bit. He backed it up and said he's actually willing to continue the Thor stuff without being Fat Thor, but he is absolutely willing to continue now because of Taika. Like that changed the entire.
Smart man.
Because that changed the trajectory of all of the stories. He's far more interested in the character now. Like that definitely resurrected his interest in continuing.
Regardless, we're definitely. I mean, I feel like seen the preparation for this stuff ever since. Oh gosh, I feel like almost Civil War started laying the groundwork of not the Avengers that you're used to anymore, or at least evolving that team.
Yeah.
Which was cool because I didn't want to just sit there and see, like, the first Avengers movie was amazing, but I didn't want to just see those same people in every Avengers movie going forward, and I think they did a great job with that. I
What?
think the huh?
Huh? You just
Did
didn't
I?
want to see those guys? Just them?
No, I didn't. That would be resting on their laurels, right, or whatever. Like that would have just been the same thing over and over again. And I know what they did do with Age of Ultron, and I think people had a less of an issue with Infinity War and Endgame. Uh, uh, sure, whatever. Like people
Just
have their
being a
complaints.
jag about it.
Cool. I agree with you.
Okay. You're a weirdo, dude. What's going on? Good Lord, what is happening?
So
Are you drinking apple juice
the
too?
problem is I'm trying to formulate a cogent thought, and I don't think I have it yet. So
All
I'm
right.
easily derailed is probably my issue.
Okay.
I liked the show, and I liked what they did. I like what the Marvel shows are doing in general. I like
Sure.
the in-between space that they're occupying and the work that they're doing to, uh, lead into the next phase or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I think me and you have slightly differed. We kind of liked all of them, but you, gosh, I'm trying to remember. Well, disqualifying Hawkeye for now.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have put,
Okay.
I think, Winter Soldier, or Captain America and Winter Soldier. No, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Falcon, and Winter Soldier.
That's
at the top
definitely
your
the name
list?
of the show. That is not at the top of my
No?
list.
Oh my gosh, what was it? Loki was at the top of my list, and I know it wasn't at the
Yeah.
top of your list. So now,
No,
well, WandaVision, of
WandaVision
course,
was at the
am I
top of
talking
my
about?
list, but that changed to the Hawkeyes.
Due to Hawkeye, and I would
Yeah.
actually probably agree with you. I think this is probably at the top of my list, and maybe for the next hour or so, because we are committed to not doing a 2-hour one of these things this time.
I'm committed.
We might be able to explain why that's the case. So I guess in answer to your question,
Yeah.
the show did land with me. I do like all the work that they did. It's funny, I had the same complaint about Falcon and Winter Soldier about Bucky's PTSD. That was some of my favorite stuff in that show that I feel like came and went, which, with the exception of WandaVision, might be kind of what these shows do. They never, especially for being a television series, more or less,
Yeah.
for being in that format, they never seem to stick with any one thing almost as long as you want. This one might get closest, but it certainly doesn't feel like it goes as dark as maybe Bucky's thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ronan's a dark character, like
Which
probably
is
darker in the films than he is in the books, actually.
agreed. Which again is why I think it's interesting that they chose not to follow, some of that other PTSD into it. Instead, the PTSD of Ronan, like that whole situation was caused by his. That's how he had to, work through everything that occurred, the snap, while he was left alone, and to me, for that to be kind of just, I was having a bad day, everything wasn't so good. I killed a bunch of people, and now they all want to kill me. Like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. Don't get me wrong, really enjoyed it, like it, but. You know what I'm saying? Like there could have been.
It's a hole, yeah.
Yeah.
I did have doubts probably pretty early on that they were going to be able to dig him out of that hole. I think he gives it the appropriate amount of weight. Like he is really kind of destroyed by what he did, and he wants to clean it up or whatever, or make amends, for lack of a better word. But there wasn't a lot of. I feel like that story, if it were done perfectly, needed to end with, there is nothing I can do. I took people from you.
Yeah.
And to be honest, his coming to terms with Echo got pretty darn close, because Echo, like she wasn't going to give. So I was like, I don't know how necessarily they're going to solve that. So I think in that, maybe they got pretty close. They did a pretty good job, but yeah, they could have gone darker. They could have gone, more pawnbroker and less Life is Beautiful if they wanted to.
Wow, look at you pulling out the fancy films. I do want to discuss Echo and her introduction at some point. I don't know if we want to dive in that early, but
My
her
notes go by episode pretty much, and honestly, I don't have a ton of them. Like I have one note per episode.
okay, but
Well,
let's
maybe
follow.
fifth or sixth episode. So
Let's follow. Go with it. What do you got? We'll use your notes to lead our way. It's the what is the line that Jack Black says? That's a line from a song, and he says it in School of Rock. It's the children.
I like to eat.
Because
No,
that's not it. I do agree with him, and I really
I like children. Is that? I haven't seen that movie in a long
I've
time.
touched your children touched me. I touched all of them, and they all touched me.
That is from the movie, I think. Yeah. That's
Yeah, no, it's definitely not from my life, you
found it.
weirdo.
Okay, got it.
Anyways,
Episode 1, I think the standout, everything that puts the show in its place, honestly puts the MCU in its place, is that scene at the theater with the whole Avengers play or whatever.
the musical.
A musical, yeah. What in fact it has
It's called Rogers, the musical.
That's it. Yes.
I can't remember the name of the song though. The name of the song, the song is so hilariously bad. Like,
oh man,
and
the whole thing is in there.
Yeah,
I want to say, isn't it at the Stinger after the last episode? Yeah,
yeah.
You can sit and watch that whole song.
Yeah, and the writers of that song they're like well known Broadway writers.
Are they?
Yeah, and they purposefully had a hard time. They said they had a hard time writing the song because they had to make it bad, and they were like, "This is it's so hard to put something out there that you are trying to, it's not supposed to be good, but you also still want people to kind of be like, what the hell is that? I'm interested. I'll see it just for the novelty and."
But I think they knocked it out of the park because it had to
Definitely.
write that line because it had to be something that is probably a hit on Broadway, right? But when Clint's in seats watching the thing, he's embarrassed for it, but also it in a way is what the MCU has become, right? Like the MCU is on many levels a crowd pleaser, like
Agreed.
they participate in the fan service here and there for all of their fantastic adaptations. I'll go on and on, about some of the work they've done to turn those books into movies, or just bar none, some of the greatest comic books or not, I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that they put Clint in that seat, put that show on in front of him, and basically put the entire MCU in its place. And Clint kind of at the same time, I think they started to do that, and that's obviously where they went with the rest of the show, but it was perfect. It set the stage perfectly, you could say.
It sets the stage.
I could have used maybe more Kate, but I might be able to say that for the entire show.
So, okay, you know what? Let's talk about that really quick because I knew who Kate was. I'd read things with Kate in them. I didn't know her full origin story, much like Clint. I actually don't know. I didn't learn Clint's actual origin story until this show, until you and I started talking about it. And I still don't even fully, I don't remember it because it to my memory, it was convoluted as hell. Like, I feel one
of those characters that's been around long enough.
Forever, right. He's rebooted. Yeah.
As it stands now, if you read, and I did read a bunch of books, if you've followed Book Club for Movies on Twitter or Facebook, or myself on Twitter, I've been tweeting some of the picks as I read, as I do with a lot of this stuff. So I did read up a lot.
Always get to it before me. Annoying.
Can't help it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you.
I've come to enjoy it quite a bit. Like when we're doing comic book shows, I'm like, I get to read a bunch because I haven't. I don't know. Like I feel like I've lived in the space, and you kind of know, or at least by osmosis. To me, it's like brand new.
It's really fun. It's super fun when you pull those like weird things out, and then it's even more fun when I get to them and I get the context of it, and I go, not only is this the perfect panel to pull out, but holy shit, who was writing this? I'm still curious as to why multiple times Captain Boomerang refers to himself as a jack. Not a jack to mess with. Anyways, continue. I'm sorry. I've broken
No,
stride.
no. So yeah, I got through some of the books, and nearest as I can tell, the current Clint backstory is that he did leave his family with his brother Barney, which I read a fair amount of books with Barney in it because I
Barney.
think, yeah, it depends on when I get to the articles that are like, this is what you need to read for the upcoming Hawkeye show.
Yeah.
Sometimes those sites are guessing more than it's why I don't typically make that list until the show is out and they can, they can pull from what's actually in the show. Well, they had a bunch of Barney stuff because I think they thought Barney was going to be in the show at some point, but he wasn't. But
Thank goodness.
yeah, him and Barney leave their abusive step family, I think, and join the circus essentially. And they both, again, depending, learn how to be archers. In one storyline, Barney actually comes back as Trickshot, which I believe is the name of the guy who taught them at the circus originally. And Barney kind of takes up that mantle again. He's a bad guy. But
that's a rad name, actually, for a bad guy. Trickshot. I want Trickshot and Bullseye and them to just win.
Probably happens. Like I said, this has gone on for so long. They have Trickshot might actually be a recent thing. Barney as Trickshot might be.
It's a cool name,
but it didn't last that long. That was in Hawkeye Blind Spot, 2011. But when Barney comes back, it's in the Fraction Aja run, which is what this show is largely based on.
Right.
And Barney is a good guy. I want to say they use some of that continuity, but they're friends again.
Okay.
So, but yeah, he doesn't show up in the show.
Great. Glad we talked about him.
Yes.
Because I definitely would much rather talk about how wonderful and delightful Kate is.
Yes, I think that's where we're going.
Yes, it is. Ultimately, like I said, for me, she was in my purview. I knew who she was. I had read books with her in it, but I never read her intro story, so I didn't read the Fraction Aha stuff because I was never super into Hawkeye. He's not a character that I've ever he's very much so a character to me that is interesting in kind of the way like Aquaman is. I like Aquaman in the Justice League. Aquaman by himself, I personally just don't find the Atlantis stories interesting. It's not fun for me. Hawkeye seemed like that to me. I never read much Hawkeye because they never did anything with him in the Avengers where I was like, man, Hawkeye seems like a dude I care about. When I was a kid, there were just other characters that were way more interesting. And so, coming across what we have now, and then, Kate, every time I've seen her written has been very funny, very, I like a character that I always want to read more of. So
when did you start reading her about?
So she popped up. The first thing I remember reading is the Kelly Thompson run of hers. So that's the only run of Hawkeye, actually, I think that I've ever read in my life, where she's the private detective situation, and I love it. Like, that is, they chose, again, character-wise, like the way that they wrote her and made her into like Kelly Thompson's writing, and Julian Totino Tedesco did the cover art for those books, and it is some of my favorite. Like, they're just unreal. The cover art is phenomenal. It's the best stuff.
It's probably the best thing about those books. And I'm with you for the most case. Like, even when we do these shows, usually I will go back and read the first appearances of the characters, like
sure.
I did that for Suicide Squad. We haven't recorded yet, but we will. I did that for, I think, every single one of the other ones. I didn't do that with Hawkeye. So I'm probably with you more than I'm not as far as that goes. Like, I didn't feel the need to go back and read his first appearance. And also, there's a lot of it. So I'm like, I don't know where I would go with that.
Right.
But also, if you like the Kelly Thompson stuff, basically the Kate Bishop you know and love pretty much, she's she's cool in Young Avengers. First appearance is where she shows up.
Yeah,
She's
and she was
fun, but
that
that's
was
an installment
a
thing, and she's not at the forefront for sure.
who was that Bendis? That's
It's
not.
no the V1 run of Young Avengers in 2005 was Heinberg and Chung.
That's
where Kate Bishop first shows up. But
okay.
it's not like I'm saying the Kate Bishop you know. Honestly, the Kate Bishop that you're liking from Kelly Thompson from this show is Fraction's Kate Bishop.
And that's kind of what I've been hearing and understanding.
Yeah. And if you like the Kelly Thompson stuff, keep going back. I guess we're not going to do a pull list, so I can say the Kelly Thompson
we might,
stuff. Maybe
no, we're not. We already said we
would. No, yeah. Because I read in order, the Kelly Thompson stuff is actually some of the lesser material out there, I would say.
That's crazy. That's fine. Cool. I liked it,
and if you like that character, you get more of it, so it's good. I just think some of the writing was a little weaker. Like, sure. If you like the joke where people are talking and somebody says, we're right here, right? We can hear you. If you like that joke, you'll hear it a few times, and many like it over and over.
Sure.
So, it's still fun. I would still say check it out, but check out the Fractionaja stuff because it not only has to do with what we're talking about here, but it pulls from most, but it is far and away the best book of the bunch I read. So
nice. Quick dotted line, because I think this does not whatever. If you
segue complete, please continue.
If you like Kelly Thompson at all, if you like that writing at all, I highly suggest you go check out the Black Widow book that they're doing. It's easily one of the most interesting Black Widow runs in recent memory, and Thompson's doing a great job. Yeah. So, cool. Where are we going now? What are we talking about?
Essentially about Kate. Let's
Kate.
just say we're in episode 2. We both like Kate.
Like Kate.
The Ronin storyline begins in Kate, or in episode 2. Sorry.
I mean, kind of. In a way, it does begin with Kate.
I said Ronin, didn't I? I meant
you did.
Okay. So I also read up on Echo because
yes,
some of the best stuff I read was also having to do with Echo because she shows up in the Daredevil run with Quesada.
That freaking run is so good. Yeah. She is. It's issue. So she shows up starting in issue 9, and it goes until basically 15.
Got it right here.
Or 16.
15. Nailed it.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that. So because I number one, this is what makes me so excited for Charlie Cox and the whole Matt Murdock thing. Now that you've read that stuff, if you didn't read 1 through 8, dude, do it.
Oh,
and
okay.
For Daredevil, and then go, oh, cool. So now I'm going to be reading Daredevil for the rest of my life because it's like the greatest story. So not only does Quesada kill this book, it's fantastic, but Echo is awesome. I love the artwork that they pull together to describe when Matt is when they're introducing her. It starts with Matt at a piano, and the pages are really dreamy, and they've got all this writing as Matt's thinking about things, and it slowly changes from Matt's point of view to like somebody gets shot and then his piano is destroyed and he's not happy about that. But Kingpin comes into it, and then he's the one that sends Maya, who's Echo, that's her actual name, after him, and the way it weaves together is such a great story. I just can't wait to see what they do now that we know Echo's getting her own show
or something. Yeah.
She got her own show before that was announced before this maybe finished filming, maybe even started, and I can't imagine they do that show without both Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. Even though Wilson Fisk, we could talk about that. I mean, I guess we are going to spoil things here in this show. We're 30 minutes in. For
Yeah, but I was
crying
going to
out
say
loud.
the reason I said Ronin instead of Echo is because I also read, I think the thing you're thinking of, which was New Avengers, which is Bendis and Finch.
That's
New
the
Avengers
one.
version 1, that's
I
2005, 11 and 13.
I hated
Oh,
the
the story's so
the
muggy. It's really,
actual cover for that too. The artwork is
oh,
off. I don't
oh,
like
really?
it. I don't like it.
Oh, I thought it was good.
The
Good. There's
cover,
some
at
good
least
stuff
the
in there.
cover art, I didn't like it.
But I'm
Anyways,
going to spoil these books too.
yes,
I read through that entire book thinking that Hawkeye was Echo, or Hawkeye was Ronin somehow, and it was Echo at the end.
yes,
And then I started looking up, well, what is the deal with Ronin? Ronin has been all sorts of people. Like that
yeah.
costume has made the rounds. So I think they were maybe playing with a little bit of that in the show. Uh, the Ronin stuff in episode 2 started to gather steam or whatever. But that wasn't what really got me about episode 2 is because with the Aja books, obviously you're not dealing with a Clint that has seen Natasha die,
Right.
but you are dealing with a jaded Hawkeye, one that's kind of been around the block. He's a total sad sack. All of the bandages that you see on
I
Clint's face throughout
dude,
the entire show, those
that,
are actually on Clint's face throughout the entire book. Because the book is more about him essentially than Kate, but it is largely about their relationship too.
the
Uh,
artwork for that too is amazing. By the way, all of
so
that,
good.
it's
But
so
that's what, like
good.
I said, it's amazing. There's
I need to read
a
it. I
book
need
that
to read the
follows up
series.
that I just tweeted about today. The all new Hawkeye series. Did you ever look into any of those?
I haven't looked into any of it yet. Like
So basically, the Aja stuff, the Fraction Aja stuff comes out, and I get the feeling that it obviously did well enough that Marvel pretty much that was the direction that they wanted Hawkeye to go. So when they gave a new book to its Lemire and Perez for all new Hawkeye, I think they basically said, "Hey, continue the Fraction Aja stuff," which they do. The artwork's pretty reminiscent, but they really make it into their own thing, and it is probably the second thing, just under the Aja stuff that I would recommend. Like, of the books that I read, that was the run that I gave to my daughter to read and be like, here, check these out. Before we watch the show, you're really gonna like some of the stuff that's in there. It's really beautiful, really good. But I'm trying to talk about how episode 2 is where we begin to get Kate kind of pushing Clint towards. It's done really well because it's kind of disguised in this whole conversation about branding and their costuming.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's like, I'm not selling a brand, and she's very much like, yeah, you are. You're selling inspiration is your brand. It's done really well, like I said, because
Yes.
honestly, the branding point of view should be completely gross, and she's young, so possibly she doesn't know halfway what she's talking about, or she's grown up using Instagram or whatever.
But I want to say one of the things I do like about Kate so much is that she's earnest in what she's saying, and she isn't an idiot. Like, she definitely has like valid reasoning, at least to her, as to why the thing is the way it is. And I think one of the things that I like about her so much, especially in the show, is she is such a good example of writing a character that learns from mistakes, and actually, like we see it without it being like I don't know. They just did a great job with that aspect of her, I thought.
Well, it's the old chestnut where she is naive,
right? Yes,
but it's that part of youth that we lose and arguably shouldn't at some point. It's the innocence versus experience. If only they're one would temper the other. Whereas Clint's gone kind of too far in the other direction. Honestly, again, probably not far enough. I could have seen a little bit more, which I get the balance that they had to make with him still being a family man and in love, with his family, and not being, Ronin on the outside when he's with his family or whatever. So.
Right, Ronin on the outside. Hawkeye
but I just
inside
thought it was really well done. I think, like you're saying, because she's bringing up all this ridiculous, stuff like branding and all that, but at the heart of what she's saying is that one thing that we, or at least me, probably being more on the side of Clint than Kate at this point. Me being like, "Well, you're not wrong. You're just it's the way that you're not wrong." Yeah. So
You're not wrong. It's the Big Lebowski thing. You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole. And the thing is, I mean, if we're going to be real about it, yeah, Kate's kind of an asshole. She is a little up her own butt. She's very, very conscientious of how good she is. She absolutely oversells herself to herself, but she also, I think, earns those moments where, when at the end of it all, while she has built herself up in so many ways, she ends up paying it off. Maybe again, not the way she intended, but it's such a good job with that character. She's so much fun, and I guess what I ultimately want to say is I think that Haley Steinfeld is just so like fun to watch as the character. She's just, I want to see it. And then leading into, I think, episode 3, that's where Yelena shows up, and Yelena, like, the number one, Yelena was the absolute best part of Black Widow. There's zero discussion about that for me.
Argument, yeah, no, I would have to think about it too much to agree or disagree. I am confident in saying that an argument could be convincingly made. So
she was my favorite part of the movie. David Harbour was the second favorite, but I mean, Black Widow, and I watched it actually just recently. It does not hold up.
It doesn't hold up from the time it came out until now.
No, it's not. Like, the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's not great. Now I'm like, oh, it's really bad. I mean, it's not really bad, but it's not good. But in any case, the point being, where were we going with this? I love Haley Steinfeld. I love her in this. And then Yelena and the back and forth between her and Florence Pugh is that entire episode, which is like at least half of it, I feel like, is just her eating breakfast with like Kate as Kate's like beat up. Yelena is just like, I'm not here to kill you. She's making food, and they're talking about why she's there to kill her, or why she's there to kill Clint. And they have this conversation that is maybe one of the most interesting and best things I think that's come out of the MCU this phase. I loved that back and forth. It was amazing. Like, I can't wait to see them again. I can't, because even with the fight scene, like, I liked seeing them fight. That was cool. Like, great. Let me see more. I can't wait to see more. They were so good together.
They were amazing. Yeah. Whether or not they were just talking or just fighting, like, it's maybe the best example I've seen of that thing where enemies meet, but you kind of get the feeling it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship or whatever,
Yeah.
When they're fighting, it's the same thing. You love it when Kate gets some hits on it, because when Black Widow, Florence Pugh, shows up, Clint is initially like, it's over. There's a Black Widow on the job. This is it. We're splitting up.
We're done.
Like,
yeah.
This has become serious. And
because he doesn't know, because he's never met her, because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
She
wants to kill him because she thinks he is responsible for Natasha's death, her sister. Yeah, that gets a little fuzzy. I will have questions later on, but yes, when they are together, all I could think, when Kate Bishop and New Black Widow are together, all I could think was the Young Avengers is going to be great. Like, if that's where they go, if that's where they can keep, and I don't know if they'll ever call it Young Avengers or if it's just what Avengers is. Like,
it would be the dumbest thing for them to, again, this is like one of those, okay, look, here's my thing. They either call it Young Avengers, which, great, because we're getting America Chavez is going to be in Doctor Strange. We know that She-Hulk is coming. There's a number of characters they can put into a Young Avengers, but I think I mentioned this already. They should call the next movie West Coast Avengers, and they should get out of New York, man. Because
I think it's the most marketable one of those, because I think any movie called Young Avengers or New Avengers, to somebody that doesn't know that's a comic book title, probably would be like, "Oh, that's kind of stupid." You
but
know,
West Coast Avengers and showing them like there are so many characters they can bring in to be the bad guy that goes, you know what? Everybody's in New York. I'm going somewhere else. It's that whole thing. You remember Bill Murray, Ghostbusters 2? Look, only an idiot, only a Carpathian would choose New York in the wintertime.
Episode 3 also, I think, is where the show flexes its action muscles, which
Yeah.
it's fairly actiony throughout, not as much as you might think. But man, episode 3, there's like a good oneer in the car. There's a good car chase.
The car chase is great.
It's probably a manufactured oneer, but still, I love what they do with it. All the action is great. In fact, I should have looked up who did the choreography or whatever, who the action director was, and I didn't. But he's good at it.
Yeah.
Or her.
Now, was this the episode where she? So one of the things that we haven't really talked about here, story-wise, that is going to become an interesting factor later on is how her mother is playing into this whole thing, where she's investigating the Ronin thing, but her mother works for somebody that's very powerful and is talking to Clint and trying to get Clint to watch her, all while Kate is absolutely consumed with the idea that her stepfather is this evil mastermind, that, you know, at the when we get to the climax, by the way, this was one of those until we talked and I had to look up the backstory, not knowing he was playing the character that would actually be Hawkeye's trainer in his original existence. He's the Swordmaster.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
That's right. A Swordmaster pops up in so Trickshot was in that Blind Spot series. Swordmaster shows up. Actually, he shows up in the Lemire run as well. The Lemire Perez. He might show up. Actually, that might be it. Actually, I don't think he shows up in the Aja run, because the Aja run doesn't go
Wouldn't surprise
into backstory all that much.
Yeah, I guess this is it. To my memory, he was Hawkeye's original mentor, like the way back, you know, in the Avengers.
Oh, I see.
Early. Yeah. Yes.
Sure. Also could be that.
Yeah, which was so I had to look that up. That was a very cool thing. And then to find, you know, and then watching him, Kate challenges him to a duel, and they duel in the foyer there, and I loved their back and forth. Again, Kate and that guy who was playing, I can't remember his name in the show, like what the character's
He's actually
name was.
One of the bad dudes from it's Tony Dalton as Jack Duquesne.
Jack
He's
Duquesne.
The bad dude from gosh dang it, Better Call Saul.
I would.
Salamanca. Yeah.
Is he now?
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah, he does a good job. Yeah, I like that Kate was focused on him for so long. And honestly, I was waiting for the turn, because in the comics, Kate's parents are bad. I was less enthused with a lot of the treatment of that, because I'm just kind of tired of that. Like, why does everybody's parent have to be something or whatever, you know? Which I think Fraction and Aja are smart enough to steer clear of. That's why she goes to LA and she does that private eye thing for a bit. It's real fun. But later on, they really lean on with some of the other stuff. So I kind of didn't know if they were going to do the same thing in the show. And it comes so late in the game that I almost gave up at the one point, you know, because I'm like, okay, when does the turn come? Like, what's up with the mom? What's up with the mom? And to the point where I'm like, okay, maybe we're okay. And then it happens. So
and
like,
I actually loved it. I loved that too, because I was the same way. I was like, are they really going to go with this? And because this was one of the more exciting shows for me, because I didn't do all the back reading beforehand. I don't know this character inherently. So I didn't know about Swordmaster. I didn't know that he was probably going to be a good guy. And he maybe, we don't really know, but we know that he's not necessarily a bad guy.
In the books, if they're going with it, they still could, because he kind of is both. Like
He
he trades Clint and Barney. It's in a way that's like he teaches them how to break the law. I mean, he's a carny, right? He teaches them how to live outside.
Sure,
the lines.
he is Clint's Ra's al Ghul, Ghul.
Oh gosh, dang it. I can only come up with so many comic book things at once. Good, the Dark Brotherhood.
Liam Neeson, Shadow. Yeah. Are you the Shadow?
Yes.
App.
What is it?
Are you? Oh, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Is that it? No, is it the Brotherhood of Shadows? I don't know. Whatever. Yes, that is
the League of Shadows. Is what you're thinking of.
Is the Carnival people? It doesn't work now.
No,
it's been too long.
It has been. Let's talk about what happens in episode 4.
Okay.
Where are we going? What's next? What continues on?
My only note that I have for episode 4 focuses more on the relationship between Clint and Kate, which, if you think about it, I can't believe that they made work as well as it does.
It's amazing.
Because yes, Clint is this married man out alone in New York, like hanging out with Kate quite an awful lot, and it never gets creepy. It never gets like, even the comics don't do this. Like the comics at one point, Lady Mask, Madam Mask, I forget who it is, takes on, because she's a body swapper, like she becomes a clone of Kate.
I'm the body swapper.
Yeah. And her and Clint kiss, and it becomes creepy. So the comics couldn't even do that. Whereas I think this show somehow, as hard as it might be to get like such a relationship to work, it totally nails it. For some reason that came out in episode 4. It might have been the one where they spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, they're beat up and they're inside they're at her apartment, right? It's like the last time they hang out before they split up for basically until the last episode. Something like that. It's where they make their plan and all that. But yeah, I loved that at no point during the show did I think, oh, they're going to be romantic. It never felt like that. And I actually do remember thinking during the show, it's very novel that they have figured out how to write the mentor-mentee friend thing, and there is nothing there. And then again, because we've been spoiling the show, I love that at the end of this series that he brings her home because she has nowhere to go. She doesn't have anywhere to go for Christmas. He brings her home, and then Mockingbird there gives him, like, is so excited for her to see her. It's like, I'm so. Okay.
You knew about the Mockingbird thing before?
Yes, I figured that out at the
I had to look it up.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's bitching.
That they focused so much on the watch too. I feel like I probably should have looked it up sooner than I did, because I was expecting when the end of that came, I would be like, oh, but then it came and I was just like, well, gotta look that up. I don't know.
I had to check. Yeah, I had to check it before. That was one thing that I did have to look up beforehand, was the whole watch thing. I was like, I know they're focusing too much on this.
Do we know, like, does Linda Cardellini have a movie in the works? Do we know, like, what are they doing?
My assumption is that they're going to, if they use her the way I would think, she will pop up with anytime like Kobe Smulders does, because it would make sense for her to spend time with Maria Hill, and that's also depending on where they go. Dude, her and Maria Hill, that would actually be really cool. The crazy weird thing though is that depending on where they go with Maria Hill, she becomes kind of a fashy jag in the comics for a long time. Where
Maria Hill?
Yeah, she becomes
she essentially takes Nick Fury's place, who has also been that essentially for his entire career.
Yes, but she takes it again. They always have her take it to a little bit higher. I don't know.
Take it to the limit.
One more time. Okay, episode 5. This is where we are leading into the end, and is this the one? This is where we get the teaser at the end, right?
I don't know. Again, this is one I have. Actually, I have more notes on this one than Most, yeah. Episode 5 and 6, I have more notes than either any of the other episodes.
Okay.
Oh, and they are.
Do you have any? Great.
I love the blip point of view where it's just
that's
because this is where we learn about how
Yelena
Black Widow came back, right? Yeah, Yelena. Thank you. Yeah, how she came back.
Love
she
that.
Was in somebody's house when she blipped away, and then she shows back up in the house when she blips back, and
so and she
from her point of view too, because the world disappears on her, right? Or the world comes back to her, right? Yeah.
And to note, she was continuing her job basically from the movie where they had figured out how to deprogram the Black Widows. So she was in the process of deprogramming a Black Widow when Snappity Snoop.
That's right. Yes.
Which I think is important because that is going to, we have to remember that that's what her primary thing was. And then we know at the end of Black Widow, she is sent to kill Clint, or at least given the whiff by Francesca Deluigi, whatever her name is from Seinfeld money. Because Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she's the one that tells Yelena about Clint, and then Yelena tells Kate that Kate's mother is the one who hired her to kill Clint, which, by the way, I think is a lie, and I think we're supposed to connect that. I think.
Okay, so this is where I have the question. Then answer this. This is what I was going to ask you before.
I'm gonna answer it 100% correct.
It's both. Like, yes, she says she was hired by Kate's mom to kill Clint.
Yeah.
You're thinking that's a lie?
Maybe. I mean, why would
Yelena?
Yelena? Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's something where they outright tell that.
Myself.
I'm not saying it is.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I didn't get that myself, but it might make more sense because I was also confused because she is motivated by the fact that Clint, quote unquote, killed Natasha.
Right.
So it seemed like they were trying to have her pull double duty. I'm like, well, what is it? Is she hired? Is she not? Like, also, why would her mom hire her? Did her mom hire her because under the orders of Wilson Fisk, who we find out that's who she was working for? And great reveal, by the way. I love that stuff.
And I think it was the Ronin thing, right? Like when they realized that Hawkeye is Ronin. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. Which is, and this is more of a, we're talking this out a little bit, but that's why I'm thinking that had to be a lie that Yelena told Kate more than anything just to screw with Kate. I mean, they're already like, they're not friends. So why wouldn't she screw? She could screw with Kate. I don't know. Again, I don't know why, but we have to remember we don't know what Valentina is doing yet. And Valentina is playing a very long game.
But this is what I love about Kate and Yelena is that they basically work out Clint's character between them, right? Like,
it's great.
Kate,
it's so good.
Very much, a proponent for Clint, being like, no. And Yelena is telling her like what also actually happened. Keep in mind that Clint does have blood on his hands, essentially.
Right.
But then when that piece of news comes later, and I want to say it's a text that Yelena texts Kate and is like, I found out who hired me. It's your mom. Like, that didn't feel, it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility, obviously, especially for a Black Widow.
I mean, that's espionage right there. And that's what I
didn't get that feeling. I don't think.
There's no reason to, but I'm thinking about it now because I watched Black Widow. And at the end of that, all we know about Valentina, especially from the comics, is that she's a snake. Like, that's her gig. She is totally like playing chess that we don't understand. And all we know
is Kate's mom.
No, Valentina is Seinfeld money.
Oh, right. Duh.
So she's the one that's probably putting together the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts. And I would imagine she's putting together Thunderbolts because it gives General Ross a reason to continue on and let him get pissed off even more at them. And if you build the Thunderbolts, boy, oh boy, can there be so much fun to be had there.
Thunderbolt.
God, yeah! So episode 5 does give us also that amazing teaser, because you just confirmed it for me in my head, because they show the picture of Kate's mom with Kingpin, right? And then the following episode, we do get a bunch of Kingpin. We also find out more about Maya's backstory, Echo. We find out that Echo's...
Yeah, we have not done Echo justice. I know.
We're going to. We're going to get to her big time here, because I want to talk about specifically the ending, what it mirrors, and what it means. What the hell? That was weird.
I'm back.
Here, Dallas.
I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere.
You scared me. So
please continue.
This final episode gives us some amazing moments. In particular, Kate versus Kingpin. Holy crap, was that freaking cool as hell. This is definitely Kingpin close to the comic book, close to I would say they're not too far off from the Netflix Kingpin. Like, this is definitely Vinny D'Onof's.
I mean, not at all. Yeah, it's the same actor, same.
No, I'm
he was playing him in any different way.
I'm talking about the character himself. Like this is the Kingpin that he is incredibly strong. In this show he survives a grenade.
When she shoots an arrow at him and he just he just breaks it off inside of himself and keeps going.
And he gets hit by a car, he gets blown up by a grenade. I love Kingpin like this, because this is so much fun for the future of what we get. And talking about Echo, so Echo ultimately is Kingpin's adopted daughter, because father was killed and he was somebody that worked for Fisk. Fisk promised that he would watch out for his daughter. Now in the comics, they go straight, they go straight to the R word, dude. Like, day one, Kingpin refers to her as the R word. Like, does not refer to her as. They don't know that she's deaf. They don't understand that she has a kind of essentially what Taskmaster has, where she can.
She's a mimic.
She's a mimic, right? I mean, Echo, right? They don't understand any of that yet. They just know that she can do. Her first, I think, example of it is she watches somebody play a piano and she's touching it, and she immediately can feel the music, and she then copies the guy perfectly. And
she watches kung fu movies in her preparation to deal with Daredevil, and she also watches footage of Daredevil
fighting Bullseye.
She's throwing my own kicks back at me. Yeah, he figures it out pretty easily,
immediately, because she watches video of him fighting Bullseye, and the first thing she does, he goes, "Wait a minute, that's what Bullseye does," and then the next move is, "And that's my move." So. Yeah. In the comics,
she's not actually that in the show, but she is
not yet,
and she has been raised by Fisk.
Yeah,
and Fisk. So in the comics, Fisk was the one that literally pulled the trigger on her father. He just tells her that Daredevil did it.
Right.
In the show, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Clint lets drop that Fisk was the one that told Ronin where that operation was going on, because Ronin does kill her father. That is true. Clint as Ronin, but he does it because Fisk pointed him in that direction, essentially, for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And as you said in the books, she Fisk kills her father, points her to Daredevil. She then meets Matt Murdock, and they get. As their relationship grows, Matt immediately, the first time he meets her as Daredevil, knows it's her. He's like, he can smell her, and he's like, oh no. And the entire fight is him holding back in every respect, trying to show her his mouth, so that, which why doesn't he just take off his stupid mask? Like the easiest thing to do. He's like, no, I gotta talk to her. No, just take the mask off. She's not blind. You are, dumbass.
That comes to in the book. I love how they tied that up too. It was
amazing.
It's funny because the story
I loved
isn't.
it. I
did love it, but it's like she's an Elektra stand-in. I mean, it's the exact same storyline. Like they fall in love, but also they're enemies. Like it's kind of been there, whatever. But man, the artwork goes a long way for one, for sure.
Phenomenal.
Like Quesada does so much cool stuff with the mimic, like with the imagery, like where they're mirrors. Like some of the I think I did like 8. Usually I just do 4 because of the Twitter limitation, but I did a follow-up. I did like 8, but pictures or
they're
screenshots
gorgeous, and they're so good.
But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, and then with that story, with that Daredevil book, Daredevil does ultimately get her to understand very quickly that he did not do any of this, and I actually love how he does it too. He tells her, I couldn't have done it. I wasn't even born yet. And
that's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, the way that
and which is phenomenal. And then that leads to them having an interesting relationship. And ultimately, she's chasing Matt down with the gun that Fisk used to kill her father. That she doesn't know because he ostensibly Fisk frames Matt as he's going through one of his a safe. And I love this because they mimic this to a point in the show here in Hawkeye, and here's where we're going to dovetail back. Maya meets back up with Kingpin, who, by the way, they use one of the outfits from Spider-Man. There's a Spider-Man cover of him wearing that exact the white outfit with the red like Hawaiian shirt. That's
I was going to say it looks Hawaiian. It's got a print.
It's a straight up pull from a Spider-Man cover and Spider-Man story. But so Echo ends up getting to come back to Fisk, gets kind of the truth from him, and then shoots him. We hear bang bang as the camera pans up. Now in the comics,
this is after Kate dealt with Kingpin, which
right.
Also, I agree with how, and what a good way to give Kate street cred, like immediately.
She beat the crap out of Kingpin.
Well, she got pretty beat. Like it seemed like an impossible matchup.
She fought back.
She fought the balance really, really well.
Yeah. So we hear 2 gunshots. Now in the comics, same thing happens, except the very next page, we see Fisk face down, bleeding, and then the next page we actually see him sat down in his chair, and he's got bandages over his eyes because previously we had seen him get shot like 23 times and he was fine. So
is this in the book or the show? I honestly can't remember where Kingpin ends up in the show.
In the show, it ends very similarly, if I remember correctly, it ends similarly to where it does in the book, where there's bang bang. I don't know that we ever see the body though. I think it's just
that's what I thought.
I think it's just her holding. She's got the gun right up there, and then bang bang, and then bang bang.
But he's not dead. He is 1,000,000% not dead.
Not at all.
By the way,
great ending for him. And then as we previously talked about, this kind of all wraps itself up. Clint has now a friend in Kate. Kate's got a friend in Clint. They go back to Clint's house with his wife and family for Christmas. Lucky the pizza dog, A+ dog for the whole show, by the way.
The last episode gives you everything that you wanted for the entire show.
So good.
There's a trick arrows back and forth with them that I want to say is taken from the Fraction Aja stuff, but there's a whole sequence where they are constructing their own trick arrows.
So good.
I tell you, they could have put in the Home Alone, the exact same music from Home Alone, when he's making all the traps, and they didn't. Just wanted to let them know that they could have, and it would have been fine.
Could you just edit that together?
You're right. Maybe I'll just do it myself.
Please do. Please do.
Um,
I need it.
but it all leads up to that final battle where they are absolute partners and they're playing off each other so stinking well. The action's great.
The action's great.
The everything. It's a heck of a last episode.
Yeah.
For a heck of a show, and I think I'm with you. I think it's at the top of my Marvel show list now.
I loved it, man. And Beth and I were just talking about because the show is coming up. I asked her, you know, when you think about this show, what is it what stood out to you? And she said, "I love the LARPers."
Oh man,
which we didn't even talk about.
I thought it was going to be such a one-off for the first episode, which granted I liked because he's like trying to get the Ronin uniform back, and he's like, well, I have to get it back from these LARPers because one of them, the Grills, which is actually in the Fraction Aja book, Grills took the thing, and he's like, man, no, you got to let me kill you though, and he's like, okay, so but then they form a relationship and they come back, and some of them are the ones that make their final costumes, which are also from the Fraction Aja stuff. Yep. Yeah, totally cool.
Love it. Yeah. Super fun, man. I'm
sure there's 5 other things that we've forgotten to mention that we also liked, but
absolutely. But you know what? We've stayed at our hour. It's time to wrap it up.
But only an hour, huh?
Hour and 6 minutes. We're already over. We lied.
Really?
But you know what? It was fun.
I'll edit it out.
Okay, good. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Stuff, man.
Yeah.
We're recording our normal show on Breakdown tomorrow. Is that correct?
I think so.
Oh, it's possible. Okay. I'm not I'm not holding you to that. I'm just trying to give
I understand.
And/or podcast people a hint about what's to come. The reason why we're hesitant is because I am heading to Idaho on Saturday. If you got the newsletter, you know a little bit about what's going on and about where we've been, but my wife's mother passed away, and we're going to the funeral and whatnot down around there. So there won't be any show recording to speak of that week. If we get one in the can before I leave, maybe I'll edit it while I'm out there. But if not, that's where we've gone.
Yeah.
So
there's some other info in there about me and what I've been up to and my health and stuff. So. It was a real.
You're doing well. I didn't know you were going to put that in there when I put in my stuff.
Yeah, no, it was a real downer of an issue. So definitely join the Patreon so you can find out more. Next week no shows. We'll see if we get something out maybe, but there won't be anything recorded. We'll get back to you on Twitter and on the Patreon with what our next movie is going to be, because I don't think we've figured that out yet either.
I've compiled some more of a list here, just things that we've.
The answer is Malignant.
Boy, I think I've listened, and this is off the rails.
Malignant.
More podcasts about that film than any film I've actually seen, because it sounds so wild.
So we need to watch it then. Malignant.
Depends on which podcast you're talking about. But yeah, we've got a plenty long list.
Malignant.
Hear about it from Matt Lignant and Ryan Miller.
Ryan Lignant.
Movies. Thank you, everybody.
Ryan Lignant.
These are fun. You're fun. That doesn't work.
Yeah. No, you are.
Malnourished. Ignorant.
I haven't eaten dinner, so maybe I should. Wait.
Do that?
Did I eat dinner?
Yeah, I hope so. It's 10 o'clock where you are. It's 9
o'clock
where I am.
Oh my gosh.
Dinner time, essentially.
Yeah. I better go microwave a burrito or something. Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.